Welcome back to the Unemployed Film Snobs show. I'm your host, Joshua Mejia, joined with my co-host,
Letona.
And I'm Brian Delgado.
And for this episode, we are bringing to you Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, the top 10 movies of the year, why Disney's losing steam, some Killers of the Flower Moon, Scorsese sweet stuff for you, and just what we've been watching lately. Do you want to take it away as we start driving?
Yeah, I mean, so again, just kind of another topic I was really thinking about. Because I think we're the only three losers not watching the Eras Tour movie this weekend. I'm sure I'll get around to it. I just need
my Starbucks, that's it.
I just need my Starbucks with my pink drink. But I don't know, I just felt like I was really busy this weekend, really needed like a kind of just relax. But yeah, it's cracking $96 million, I believe, this weekend, which...
Oh my God, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Oh my God.
I know some industry estimates were like thinking maybe even 150, but I think just at the end of the day, we just have to remember that like it's a concert movie. I'm sure it has like, the Taylor Swift fans are gonna go, and how much of a wide audience that is I guess just $96 million. But yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about it because I think it's pretty crazy that it comes out and it's a smash hit, and it's probably gonna like end up in the top 10 of the box office of the year, but when it's all said and done, and like Elemental, Mission Impossible, maybe even Fast X are all gonna be eating Taylor Swift's dust by the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a great conversation. I was gonna say, like, in comparison to like the Barbenheimer event, Barbie and Oppenheimer, do you think it'll smoke even that?
No,
I won't get close to that.
No, I don't know, man. If there's one thing I've learned this year, don't doubt the Swifties.
Yeah, I was about to say Swifties are a different breed.
That's for sure. I guess what I was like thinking about too, and this goes to like just why stuff like Twilight and the Hunger Games were so successful. And maybe just like if anyone from marketing is watching this and they really need a lesson in just how things like financially work. If you like make a movie that's for a female, like very female engaged audience, you will break even for sure, very easily, right? Because I feel like I'm seeing a lot of internet reaction being like people acting like they're annoyed that a bunch of girls are like celebrating and clapping and dancing, watching this movie, and it's also like let people have fun.
Right. I think people forget that movies are supposed to be that. It's not supposed to be like this. Well,
depending on the type of movie.
Right.
But like for a movie like this, I get it. They're having fun, they're dancing, they're singing. Cause like the other concert film that came out recently too, or was a re-release, was Stop Making Sense, which A24 re-released.
Yeah.
And there's videos of people doing the same thing, dancing, just having fun. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what different? I would say this. Like, this is like kind of like a little subtopic related to this, but what difference is it compared to like a musical?
Yeah, I guess that's a good question. I guess part of it is just like if I go to choose to see like a movie like this, not even a documentary. It's just a concert, right?
Yeah.
There's not any added bits of like all of like Taylor Swift behind the scenes and how she wrote the music or anything. Like, I guess it is just treating it like this kind of like feral experience of like, you already know the music, you connect with it on a certain level, while a musical, because I'm a really big musical fan, like part of that becomes like when I saw La La Land for the first time, it is sitting there and being like, all right, like what are they gonna do here? Like what kind of music are they going for? Like what's the style? Is this song good? And and it's not that you can't do that for this. It's just I think the people seeing this are already coming in as fans naturally. And like when I go into a musical, I kind of have to like already be like, okay, like what are we doing here? Because it's like just such a different medium of like what compared to what this is.
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean that's a different topic we could touch upon in the future too, musicals.
But I mean, I was just gonna say, I mean, this whole like Eras thing, it's there's a passion, so. I mean, is there any other concert movie that has racked up this amount of money before? I don't think so, right?
I don't think so.
There was like the Jonas Brothers like musical movie,
and we're talking about now like when we were growing up,
yeah,
right?
And then there was also the Justin Bieber Never Say Never, I mean, Justin Bieber kind of had like this crazy like fandom or fan base,
right.
especially when he was like starting off. Taylor Swift, but I mean, Taylor Swift also did start off around the same time, right, as Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
So, but like the thing is that I see Taylor Swift getting even more popular now, which is crazy.
Well, I think the popularity is stemming from too. I mean, she was always. I think she was already pretty good, pretty like decently popular. But I think what it stems from is that she's re-releasing all of her songs on her own.
Yeah.
And I think she has a lot more artistic direction involved in it, and she has a much more, like, I guess, not better plan for it, but I feel like it's more thought out just because she grew a lot, you know, since originally creating these songs. So I think that's a big difference, is that with all these re-releases, I feel like, even like, I mean, I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan, I enjoy her music, but even I can tell, like, the difference between the re-release and the other ones. And well, the re-release and the old ones.
So, like, that's one thing I'm thinking about. So, what if it's a re-release of her songs, and you know that's getting popular? Why is it not working with Hollywood then? When I mean, Little Mermaid did came out this year too. That's a little like a re-release in a way, same story, but just different characters. So, I mean, what's something that they're not doing well then, like Hollywood, in terms of, because the Swift the Eras tour, so is it just like videos of her performances when she was at the concert, or
it's
is
like a mainly stitched together version of like her shows. Like from my partner, what she told me, it looked like it was like a lot of the stuff that she shot here in LA, and they like basically compiled it across the different nights, and they compiled it into kind of one big experience. They did cut a couple songs. I assume that's more for time than anything, because I think it did clock around 2:45. And I think like the difference here is, and you bring up like the Little Mermaid, and I guess like I just what Taylor I think is doing really well is that, like, one, it's like the re-releasing of all her music is doing her a lot of justice, because it allows her, like, she's changing a couple lines in her songs here and there. And I really want to thank my partner for all this like Mac knowledge, because she's like, I now I have it all in my head. But also just like what the Eras tour signifies, like Eras isn't just like a name to like pick out, like it is like a chance for everybody to finally go see their favorite song of hers, no matter which era it was, and she's just doing it all, right? Yeah. And I guess like the difference with like this between like that and the Little Mermaid, and I know we're kind of like really like it's maybe we're like stretching here to like compare them.
Yeah, I do that a lot, guys. So.
No, it's okay. But I think the for sure thing I can like kind of get on the Little Mermaid about is like, well, I think the movie is like good. There's still no question that at the end of the day, if you're gonna show your kid a version of the Little Mermaid, you're probably gonna just show them the original. You know, like convince like it's like the same thing with all the live actions. It's very rare when like Disney's putting out a live action that I think is like one actually totally like worth watching on the same level as the original. The only shout out I'll give to is Pete's Dragon, which is fantastic.
Pete's Dragon.
But yeah, I think like that's the thing. It's just Taylor Swift's formula for this whole, season has just been really good for her, and it's clearly paying off. It's giving like a wonderful boost to like all the theaters.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to talk about this. So I see memes about it right now. Mm-hmm. Killers of the Flower Moon's coming out next week, and there's memes about like, oh, the difference in audience in comparison to Killers of the Flower Moon versus the Taylor Swift movie. Do you feel like the cinema goers, like I feel like there's a stigma right now because of that movie? Like it's not like a real movie. Like it's just like a cheap way of like making money, and it's a quick buck. Like what do you guys think about that, like in comparison to like something like Scorsese's movie coming out next week? Do you feel like that downplays maybe the cinema going experience? People are making jokes like, oh, there's like a bunch of young white women next door singing, and you're watching Killers of the Flower Moon, which is like a very different type of movie.
It's kind of like I see what it almost feels like a mini Barbenheimer if you think about it. But it's a little more of like a nastier reaction. It's not the fun the dark and serious. It's like, a bunch of like Scorsese heads in one theater trying to enjoy a movie seriously, while like. Yeah, I think you said it right before we started recording. Like, in the theater next door is a bunch of women doing the Wicker Man dance in front of a theater.
Yeah.
You know, so I get it. It's kind of like a little bit of like, oh, it's like the film bros are kind of back at it again.
Yeah.
I mean, is it also too? Is it because of maybe like Scorsese's very open outing of like certain type of like roller coaster movies, as he called it before?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the thing. I wonder if there's a little bit of a hierarchy why I say like stuff made for girls gets shit on all the time. You know, like we can discourse here about the MCU all the live long day, but it still does not match up to like the ridicule and the era it was out when like Twilight was out, right?
Yeah.
And so like with the Eras tour, like it's in a theater, girls are having fun, theaters are clearly like lining up and being like, get your Taylor Swift popcorn buckets and stuff. The Alamo Drafthouse was like giving you like a mirror ball like cups drink.
Ball?
Yeah, like it was like a mirror ball with a straw in it, and you can order a cocktail in it. And it's like everyone's just having fun. They had concert kits and everything. And like I can't help but feel a little bit like the reaction right away was just everyone being like, I'm just trying to enjoy a movie and next door girls are screaming. It's like I understand that noise can be a problem because sometimes you're there to watch Saw or you're gonna see Killers of the Flower Moon, right? And you're like hearing screaming.
I'm trying to watch some people get tortured. I'm hearing just white women screaming.
Like I'm sure there's that element, but I do think there has to be, the internet's got to calm down a little bit and let just girls enjoy things for a sec.
Yeah.
Like
also like that's one thing too. You know, the internet is, as much as it's so easy to be on the internet all the time, the internet is not the majority of like the audience that people of moviegoers or like people who just averagely watch a movie at home. Again, it's like if there's a complaint about it, that's going to be like the most vocal. You'll hear more about it rather than like somebody who had a good time. They're not going to be as vocal about it in comparison to that. Does that make sense? The internet's not the only place. Same thing on Reddit. When you go on Reddit and you look at people bashing a movie or bashing like a cinema experience, that's just that one person. The majority of people are probably having a great time and they just don't comment on it because there's no need for it. So yeah, I mean, I think that people should just have fun. I think that's what makes the cinema a lively place.
And read the room, right? Like if the vibe in the theater is like people are dancing, because you brought up Stop Making Sense, right?
Yeah. People
were dancing. You know, like I went to go see RRR and people were dancing during Not To. Like that, it was just the vibe in the moment. Like as long as everyone's cool and having fun, like that. Wait, stop shitting on people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just the point of movies in general. Whether it's like a serious like topic like Killers of the Flower Moon, you know, I mean, some people have fun through it, right? But it's just, you know, movies are meant to have fun regardless of what they are, you know. So just let people enjoy themselves when they're watching movies. That's the whole point of making movies, is for people to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess like this definitely veered us. Definitely like I'm glad this was a really good conversation too, and it veered us off from like just Taylor Swift dominating the box office. But like at the end of the day, like I think that's what I kind of wanted to get at, was like it's an event for people. People are going out to the theater.
I mean, we're sorry to cut you off there, but it seems that when you mention event film where people going out to the theater, it feels like nowadays like that's what's needed for people to actually, you know, go out to the theaters, is event films.
Yeah, and it's not just like, oh, like the latest Marvel movie. Check out the chapter of what's happened with Captain Marvel. It has to be like a Barbenheimer. Like alone, like Barbie would have done fine, but the added bonus of like this, there being like the pink house, black house next to each other in the same day, and the fact that was the first time I had heard general people be like, I have to see both in the same day. That's what everyone else is doing. And I was like, I cannot believe people are double featuring.
That kind of brings into mind though as well. Do you guys think the box office? I think the box office has done pretty well in comparison to last year. What do you guys think? I feel like there's been a lot going on this year in comparison to last year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this has been the first true quote unquote post-pandemic. Because like even last year was still a little, you know, people were still uneasy to go back to the movies. I think like, and I think there's like filmmakers like Tom Cruise kind of really helped with pushing more of a theater going experience.
Yeah, I mean Top Gun, right? And
Oh yeah, Top Gun.
Mission Impossible this year.
Time is so weird for me now because I keep thinking that Top Gun came out this year, but then something like Quantumania came out last year. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
So I just off comment there.
No, I think like I mean just at the end of the day, like you bring up like is it like a good year? And I feel like it's a really mixed year. And I think just what happened was just everyone put out too much stuff this year. I think there was too many movies. And then, like I was like looking at just like some old research and like back in the day, like you know in the 2000s, like there were maybe 3 or 4 big blockbusters over the summer, and that was it. And like this summer was like no, you had like you know Mission Impossible, Barbenheimer, then like the Haunted Mansion comes out the week after.
Oh my
Blue
God,
Beetle. Like there's no room for all these movies to survive.
That's a great point. You know, things like The Creator, Blue Beetle, and Mission Impossible. Well, so here's the thing: Mission Impossible. I don't know what happened with the marketing there. I think it was just like a bad idea to release it. What, like a week
before Barbenheimer.
So
well, I think with that too, I think what lent to like the unfortunate event where like it didn't do as good as people hoped it would is because of the strikes. Like it came in like they were able to promote it just a bit, but then the strikes happened and they had to stop. So
yeah,
I mean it's a combination of all of them.
Yeah.
But definitely go on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, word of mouth is just like an incredible marketing tool as well. So, because I mean, there was also Talk to Me.
You know, and that's true. I mean, like think about it. Like at the end of the day, word of mouth. Talk to Me, right? But for sure, like there are people who went to go see Mission Impossible, right? And they walk out of the theater and they go home and they tell their family members, they tell their friends, like, oh, I saw Mission Impossible this week, and you're like, oh yeah, like it was really good, but how do you convince that person to like be like go out when they're like, oh cool, I'll probably check that out in streaming because Barbenheimer's coming out the week after.
Yeah.
And now we're just seeing like these like blips, basically these giant like these Oppenheimer size explosions happening at the box office, where instead of you know just like these movies are all just hitting, like you know like we're saying, it's like no, Barbenheimer was the big hit and then everything else fizzled out for the rest of the month. And now we're at the Eras tour. Like, The Exorcist is, like, basically, like, getting destroyed. Again, in a Halloween movie in October.
yeah.
And what else? Like, what else is there to go watch? Other than, like, people are probably going to tell you when you come back to work on Monday, like, go watch the Eras tour.
Yeah.
I'm not a Swiftie guy.
It's funny to hear.
I mean, I don't know. But I also was thinking about it because it's a great point that you brought up. Like back in the 2000s, there was only like 3 or 4 like blockbusters. And what is your guys' general consensus? Is it a good idea of what's happening now, where there's a lot more to watch, even though it might, for some movies, it might take a hit at the box office? I mean, but they're still great films, though. I mean, Blue Beetle did really well in terms of like praise. A lot, but the box office, you know, it definitely could have done better, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's a bad movie, right?
See, I think I agree with Letona's point on where there's just too many, but not the fact that there's too many. I think there's been a really great amount of movies. My opinion of it all is more of the factor that there's too many that are in a close time frame together. Like they released them too close to each other because they wanted to do the summer blockbuster. But it's like if they would have released them on its own, like with a good like chunk in between, a chunk in time between like movies, they would have each have done really, really well. Like even better than what anyone was expecting. But the reason they didn't was because you had to kind of pick and choose.
Yeah.
And I mean, in our pre-meeting, I mean, I want you to go into this. I mean, like we're also just talking about the level of diversity in content, right?
Yeah.
So like I kind of want you to get a little bit into that, Mejia, just because I think it was worth bringing up. Of just like you were talking about, like yeah, like and let's be honest, like a lot of the movies this year that came out, like I had a good time watching them, but they kind of blow.
Yeah. I don't know. I think a lot of things that came out this year were pretty diverse across, big budget Hollywood blockbusters
Yeah.
and indie films, like Talk to Me or like The Creator.
I guess like what I was like definitely thinking like is like when I say diverse, I don't mean like necessarily the cast, but like the kinds of movies we're getting for sure this year.
Yeah.
Like it felt like there was a movie for everybody, but equally no one had time for everything.
Yeah. See, and that goes back to everything was just too cluttered together.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was like you kind of have to pick and choose, and especially with, and I feel like what plays a big role is inflation. The cost of like a movie ticket, the cost of like concessions, like it just bumps up the price a lot. So you really did have to pick and choose which one you wanted to go see. Like you couldn't see like a couple, 2 or 3 movies in the same week sometimes.
Also, I kind of wanted to bring that up. You mentioned time. So if somebody's going to go watch a movie, what is like the most appropriate runtime for a movie, do you think? Because the reason why I'm bringing that up is because Scorsese, at the time of this video, the Killers of the Flower Moon has not come out yet. But there's already been comments about Scorsese defending the runtime, mentioning that you need to respect cinema. Like, people are willing to...
Hello, my name's Joshua Letona, and if you're watching this, unfortunately our equipment overheated while we were recording. But instead of sacrificing the quality conversation I thought we had for the rest of the episode, we decided to keep the audio, and we didn't want to really rehearse or manufacture that kind of same conversation because we didn't feel it would be right. So we're just going to keep the audio, and I hope you really stick with us. It was really a quality conversation, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. So thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah, this is just for the video portion of the podcast. As Letona said right now, our equipment overheated, so unfortunately there's no video for it. But thank you again for tuning in, and we hope you stay.
And thank you for understanding. Later. To watch 5 hours of content, even sports games at home. Why can't you do the same for cinema? That's what Scorsese is defending, because Killers of the Flower Moon is how long? 3 hours?
3 hours, 26 minutes.
Yeah. And, there's comments about people saying, well, there should be intermission, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Oppenheimer came out. So I haven't seen it yet, not in the theaters. But that's also kind of like my thing right there. I was so close to watching it, but the last thing the only thing I was trying to justify not doing so was because of the runtime. I was in Vegas when Barbenheimer came out. I wanted to see it so badly, but I couldn't justify the 3-hour runtime because I was in Vegas. There's so many other things to do, and I was trying to think to myself, do I want to justify part of my vacation in Vegas watching a 3-hour movie?
That's fair.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what do you guys think about the runtime, like the whole?
Well, for Oppenheimer, I mean, I didn't think the runtime was that much. Like, it definitely.
It was 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, not in terms of like that much. Like in terms of the experience, because there's some movies that are like 3 hours that I've seen that you can feel the time. You can feel it. So what I mean by it wasn't that much was that I didn't really feel the time for Oppenheimer. Like, I think the only time where I felt it kind of drag a bit was right after when they launched the explosion. There's a good sequence or two where I felt the time there, but then after that it picks up again.
They launch an explosion?
Yeah, I know, right?
Spoiled it for me. Jesus.
Sorry, spoiler alert if you guys don't know Oppenheimer.
They built a nuclear bomb.
And the other thing about runtimes too, and this is a little tangential, but like I've noticed too, I maybe this is just because it's like it feels more recent, so there is a bit of a recency bias. But like it does feel like movies have gotten longer. Like in a span of 3 months, I did Avatar: The Way of Water. Well, actually, if you like expand it, I went to go see the re-release of Avatar. I did Avatar: The Way of Water. I saw Babylon, and then I did the re-release of Titanic. All movies that are
came out. I forget how it came out.
That's all in like a pretty short span, and I know 2 of those are re-releases, but like Avatar: The Way of Water was like over 3 hours. Babylon was over 3 hours, and
that was good though.
I enjoyed both of those movies significantly, but like they are getting pretty long. I can hold my pee. I'm not the kind of person.
I was just gonna say your bladder is rather impressive then.
Thank you. No, I'm cool. And you're definitely right. Like some movies, just like a 2-hour movie can feel like a 3-hour movie if it's bad. a 3-hour movie can feel like a 90-minute movie.
Yeah,
It's good.
Yeah.
But for sure, like, there's definitely people looking at the Scorsese runtime and being like, I don't have 3 hours and 26 minutes. And
but then they'll go kind of sit in front of the TV and watch like Stranger Things for like 4 hours.
exactly.
True, but there's a difference being at home. You can pause it whenever you want. And also, this is where I'm going to come in. That's why I like streaming more. I love, as much as I love the cinema experience, I love being able to pause because my bladder has rather been a little bit more smaller now than before. And I'm not the young person I used to be. So, but I can pause it and then I can go pee. You know, even just like one episode of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, I had to pause it like twice just so I can go use the restroom. Mind you, I was drinking, so that might have something to do with it. But that's the thing. It's like you go to like a place like the Alamo to watch a movie, especially if you're gonna go watch Killers of the Flower Moon at a place like the Alamo or Look Cinema. There's like people are drinking, people are eating, any sort of dining.
Does that mean you're gonna leave the cinema a couple times to go to the bathroom?
I'm gonna.
I don't know. Stay tuned for that.
Ready.
Stay tuned for that. Hey, but I did hear that because there's no intermission, right, in a lot of cinema film.
I haven't seen an intermission in a movie.
Yeah, in a movie.
Actually, I got to experience it for the first time this year, which was really crazy.
What was it?
It was during RRR.
Right? Yeah.
That was the first time I had ever experienced an intermission, and it tripped me out because I've asked everybody who's watching on streaming, and I guess the movie just plays as normal. And the intermission was very cool.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was like. So
how long is that movie?
Yeah.
I think it did run 3 hours or a little over. Okay, so never mind.
There's
I have like more. I have one more that I had.
So speaking on that, like all the Bladder stuff, like what's the longest movie you guys have gone through?
I think Brian brought this up before the show, and admittedly we were all kids when it came out, which would have been probably Return of the King, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But I was very much a kid, and I think I saw that movie late because I remember falling asleep twice in it. Now I'm not saying it was boring.
I still fall asleep through that movie. It's not boring. It's a good movie.
It's very good. It is long. If you just catch me at a bad time, I am gonna just doze off for a little.
That's
bit.
also another thing. If it's not the bladder issue, it's just you're just tired, man. You're just tired. You know, I used to criticize my mom for like falling asleep at movie theaters, and now I know how she feels.
I know. As you get older, you get it. You get it.
So Lord of the Rings.
I did RRR.
You did mention Titanic. That's one of my favorite movies.
It's so good.
And I forget it's 3 hours because I literally feel like it's justifiable. Why it's 3 hours. But anyway.
I know you probably have the record ones though.
Yeah, so I'm a huge foreign film fan.
Nerd!
That's what you need to know about me. I'm huge on foreign films, so I'm gonna probably butcher this, even though we just looked at the pronunciation.
Oh wait, you know what? I got you.
Satan Tango by Bellatar.
You're gonna get so canceled.
By Bellatar, it's a great movie. All his works are very poetic. He's very philosophical, very poetic. You know, very long takes, very like you could say dragging on takes. But that movie's like 7 hours 30 minutes. But the next one, that's for sure longer than that I've seen. It's a trilogy. I've seen them mainly continuous, I think. I won't get into it too much though, but it's called The Human Condition. It's a Japanese trilogy. Really good, really experimental. But those would probably be the longest films I've seen, which over 3 hours and 20 minutes for sure.
Oh, you know what? And I just remembered too. Snyder Cut. That is my longest movie.
Yeah. 4 hours?
4 hours.
4 hours.
Now, admittedly, there is like a special exception. Like that movie technically does end around 3 hours and a half. Like you can feel like where it would have cut in the theater, but Snyder shot like an additional 30 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever because credits.
Yeah.
And did shoot additional stuff just like because he could. So like
so Snyder of him.
It's so Snyder of him.
Yeah.
So like admittedly like if you did watch it, like it does probably act like the actual version of it that had it if it come out that way would have been about 3 hours and a half minus like some stuff that they probably would have cut that you could tell probably should have been cut. But that would probably be my longest. But again, it feels like a little bit like cheating because I watched it at home.
Yeah.
I
watched Satan Tango at home too, and I watched Human Condition at home too. For Human Condition, I did take little breaks. It's a whole trilogy, and each movie's about 3 hours, so I did take breaks for that one. But for Satan Tango, I watched that one all the way through with no breaks. So, and like if anyone knows philosophical filmmaking, you know that it's a lot. It's a lot. It's very deep and just very.
And you also
drudgy.
might know that you're such a nerd like him. So, the only time you'll catch me watching those movies is if you have me tied down and like.
I'm about to say I'm gonna tie your ass down. I'm gonna tie you down to watch it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Keep it up. I mean, we're gonna give each other homework at some point. So.
Yeah. No, you're right.
No, I guess I kind of wanted to round off this topic since we're talking about bladders and long times, but like, I mean, okay, I guess like I don't really know how to introduce this question, so I'm just gonna tell this like little anecdotal story. I did like a double feature of Iron Man 3 and Star Trek Into Darkness in a day, but
That's a weird double feature.
They were out at the same time.
Double feature.
They were out at the same time, and Star Trek. I really wanted to see Star Trek. My friends really wanted to go see Iron Man. I was like, okay, well we gotta double feature this because I need to see both. I remember I got a large Coke for Iron Man 3 and I downed it. And I remember we had like a probably 2-hour break in between movies because we saw Iron Man at like 3, so it ended around 5, and Star Trek wasn't until like 7. And I remember sitting there and being like, I really gotta pee. And my friend's like, just go pee right there. I was like, I'm not gonna go pee there. Like it was like just like a corner because we couldn't go back to the theater yet. And I was like, I'll be fine. And then I should have peed before the movie because about like 40-ish minutes into Star Trek Into Darkness, I felt my bladder hit like overdrive. And I was like, but I feel the movie getting good. And I don't want to get up. And so I held it for the last like whatever hour and 20 or hour and 40 minutes, thinking the movie was getting close to being over. And it wasn't. And every time, like, I was like, I think the movie's gonna end here. Something would happen, and I'd be like, I'm gonna pee myself.
This is why he has such a.
The second, what were we gonna say?
This is why his bladder is like a fighter. It's
No, you're not wrong. I think it probably is that. And I just remember the second Star Trek ended, they play that classic Star Trek theme, and I ran out of that theater and I took the longest pee I've ever done in my life. It was just a continuous stream. I'm not trying to get too gross on this episode. I just thought it was a fun story to tell because it's one of these like theater like core memories I have of just being like, I'm gonna be brave. I'm going to hold my pee and enjoy this movie. And I probably could have like given myself a really bad condition because of it.
You could have. You know, if they were really your friends, though, they could have just said, "Here, I'll open my mouth and then just go."
They did offer me a cup, and I was like, I don't think I can do it. I respect this place too much.
I don't think I've had an incident like that where, because whenever I go to a movie, like especially now since I watch longer movies, I don't eat or drink anything beforehand. I'll get a water bottle, take it to the movie theater, and I'll get a large popcorn, and that's about it. But that'll be everything I have. So
we'll see if that's true next week.
Yes, we will.
That's true. Killers of the Flower Moon will test you.
Well, we're seeing that the premiere, right?
It'll be a Saturday.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're like me and you need to use the restroom, I hear there's an app called runp.com or something like that. Where it's essentially you just select the movie that you're watching, the runtime. What runtime you're in, like what the showtime at the movie theater it is at, and basically it'll just tell you when's the best time to go pee, and while you go pee on your phone, touching your down below and then touching your phone to great like bacteria, but while you're peeing you can look at what's happening throughout the movie through like these subtitles that they put out for you. Basically they just describe it for you, so check that out if you're into that and you're just like me.
Well, to start wrapping things up, since we kind of reached our destination here, and speaking of runtimes, what movies have you seen this week? And what have you seen this week, and what are like your maybe like top 1 or 2 movies the entire year so far?
Oh man, okay, I do have those in my mind. I guess we could just use this as a quick rant and raves. I know I mentioned this, and I was kind of saving it, and now I've seen Saw X, so I kind of did a little mini Saw marathon. And honestly, without talking about each one, all I know is like the best way to rank the Saw movies is like how good the twist is. And part of that also comes at the like expense of like, well, also John Kramer needs to be in it. Because I find that the first 3 and 6, because 6 has like a lot of significant flashbacks with John Kramer, are like he is so essential to that franchise in a way that is crazy. Because watching 4, 5, and 7, I'm like, these are okay. I'm not really crazy about the guy that takes over his legacy. But they're like overall like a really fun time, and it was just kind of fun to breeze through them since they all go about 90 minutes. And after watching Saw X, which is like a weird like interquel between 1 and 2, like I walked out that movie being like, the production value is like significantly higher. Tobin Bell actually gets to like do things, you know, like he does. It's not that he doesn't get to do things in the other movies, but like he actually gets like a little bit of an arc in it, which is really interesting.
No.
And like the traps go back to basics in Saw X, and I was like, oh my god, like it's literally like the perfect Saw movie, and it ended up being. I walked out and I was like, I think this might be my favorite. So I don't know. That's kind of what I've been watching this week, and I just thought like especially Saw X. And I do think they're probably going to try to find some wiggle room to get like another sequel between 2 and 3.
I heard about that. Yep.
It feels like you could.
There's rumors that there might be a prequel to Saw 1, which would be the next one. Saw
11?
Yeah.
Yes.
Saw 11, the prequel.
And then the next one will be, like you said, between 2 and 3.
And if they can, I'm down. I just need my boy John Kramer back. Tobin Bell has never been better. Like, he came in and he owned the role. And I was just like, damn, I'm so glad they finally gave him, like, they let him be the main character, basically.
Yeah.
And the movies normally didn't let him do that. Like, the best he's been in was probably Saw 2. And now this is, like, the definitive, like, Jigsaw movie, I think. And as for your last question, like, I thought a lot about, like, just where my top 2 are this year. I think my 2 and 3 keep swapping around because I don't know if part of me is like, oh, am I leaning on the fact that like it's a technical marvel, or do I want to go with my emotional like connection? So I may just today I'm feeling a little more emotional. So my number 1 is probably Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
That was a good one.
That's a really good
animation.
One.
So
I saw that at City Walk in IMAX for the first time on a Friday night. And by the time it was over, I just did not feel the urge to get up. I let the credits roll because the cliffhanger was absolutely insane. I kept feeling like the movie was going to end at, like, it kept tripping me up on when it was going to end. And it's at where it decides to, like, definitively close. I was like, I cannot believe the strikes are on the way, and I'm not going to see the sequel for a while. It's
probably like another 5 years.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy to think about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think my number 2 is just going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
That ending got to me.
Yeah, I mean the ending is absolutely a gut punch, and anyone who knows me is like, that is probably my favorite comic book team, let alone characters. And I went to that with a bunch of our other friends in our close circle, and our entire row, which is like, I this is definitely hyperbolic, but the entire floor was soaked in like tears. Like everybody. If you're a pet owner or you're just like really love these characters, you are just ready to have your heart ripped out by the end.
Oh, James Gunn, what are you doing to us?
How about yours, Brian?
Okay, so what am I watching right now? I mentioned this in the last episode. I'm actually rewatching Hell House LLC, but also because there's actually going to be a 4th movie coming out by the end of October on Shudder. So I really want to watch that with you guys, by the way. The first one, at least. And then the second and third, I might watch it again. But I love watching those movies because it's a great, like, Halloween movie for me. So I'm watching that right now, currently at the moment. I thought about doing the Saw marathon. Don't know yet. I'll get back to you on that.
Very quick and easy breezy franchise to go through.
Yeah. That, and like I actually am thinking about doing that for Fast and Furious because I need to watch Fast X, and just because I really want to see Jason Momoa's performance in that movie.
He's the best part.
Yeah, I know. I keep hearing about it. So yeah, there's that, and then what? My top 2 movies so far this year. Does it have to be this year?
No, just whatever. Honestly, like just what top 2 movies.
Top 2.
Yeah.
Man.
Preferably this year. But.
Yeah, preferably this year. So. Let me see here. I did like Little Mermaid. You know why? You know that song.
Don't.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's our internal joke. For anyone who's watching, we have an internal joke about the scuttlebutt.
Yeah, inside joke.
Marisa, if you're watching.
Or listening.
The scuttlebutt is a an interesting song that probably should have been on the cutting room floor, but go on.
Hot take.
I'm not gonna. These are your favorites. Go on.
And I will say, even though I told you I thought it was all right, after like a couple weeks of like letting it settle in, Talk to Me. Again, I'm a horror person, so Talk to Me. I think it's original. It's great, and that's considering the fact that I don't watch like possession movies. So Talk to Me has been really good. A24, man, like just
nails it almost every time. Yeah,
all the time. Yeah, and honestly, it's the ending. Once you like look into it, it's so tragic.
Yeah,
and true. I feel like I'm a sadist. Like I'm so sadistic. Like I love stuff that breaks your heart. I love it. It's great. I love it. So yeah, it's really sad, dude. Like what happens at the end, but I think it just nails it. So I think for that ending alone, Talk to Me. So
for me, I would say, movies I've been watching this week, kind of got into a little war fixation where I started watching Saving Private Ryan. Then I watched We Were Soldiers. So both are great war dramas. Started watching Chucky, the new season, just to continue with it. It's been pretty good so far. I've had some quips about it. 2, right? 3. Yeah, 3. Episode 2 was the most recent one that came out. That one, and then this is not a new watch. Technically, it's a new watch because the last time I watched it was in 2017. But it's a foreign film called Andrei Rublev by Andrei Tarkovsky, who's a great Russian filmmaker. Highly recommend his stuff. But yeah, so those are the movies I've been watching this past week and just lately. I think my top 2 movies. I have one for sure, but because I haven't seen a lot of movies yet. I haven't seen The Creator. I haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon yet. Oppenheimer is definitely gonna be one of my top 2 movies of the year.
For sure, that's my number 3. So
Talk to Me is edging up there, but there's still a good amount of movies that are coming out for the rest of the year. So I'm reserving the second spot still, but Oppenheimer for sure, one of my favorite movies of the year.
Yeah, I mean that's my number 3, but like at the end right now, it's definitely like if I have to nominate like a best picture, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I have a feeling Killers of the Flower Moon might be my favorite this year. I just keep seeing ads about it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but
I mean, people are calling this Scorsese's masterpiece of the 2020s.
And I hear it's Leo's best performance.
And then Gladstone, right? The actress.
Oh, Lily Gladstone.
I'm excited to watch it, dude.
Yeah, no, me too, definitely.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, by the time this episode's out, we would probably have seen it already.
Yeah.
And our next episode, we'll be recording.
And our next episode, I think, will be focused more on Scorsese and, just that genre and, side of film.
And stay tuned because we're going to be talking about the Mount Rushmore of who we think is like the best filmmakers.
Yeah, that's going to be good. That's a second up the list. Oh, we're sticking with just American and Europe, or American and British?
If we make it more personal, feel free to go crazy. Because if we're gonna go personal, I have like the 4 in my mind that inspire me, and then the 4 that I think are the actual like.
These guys are snobs in a way where like they make me roll my eyes because I just enjoy movies, but these guys are just take it to another level. Well, I'm the neutral one, but anyway.
Well, with that, any last thoughts?
No, just once again, please, I thank you for joining us, and please like, subscribe, all that jazz.
Yeah, comment below. Any topics you would like us to do. Follow our socials, so YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Unemployed Film Snobs. So we'll probably put the ad somewhere on the video. And yeah, the episodes will be releasing
every Wednesday.
So thank you so much. I've been your host, Joshua Mejia, with my co-hosts
Joshua Letona
and Brian Delgado.
And this has been the Unemployed Film Snobs.
Later, guys.